Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome quite late possibly to what is Canada going up against Nordic. And the reason why I say that is because at the time of recording and streaming this, we have this is actually something that was played one whole week ago as part of the second round of the Swiss format for the whole NationsCup 20, here sponsored by the wonderful HD development. But due to the amazing and just lovely Killspree, we have a demo to oogle at, and with that we're going to have, a little bit late possibly, but we still are going to be seeing here Canada going up against Nordic in this little series where we're going to be starting off with Team Survivor on Abbey, to then follow it up with Team Survivor on Orbital. So all Team Survivor, possibly going to be changing here on the third, should we actually end with a tie. So without further ado, since these are just demos, I don't really have to wait for the for all of the teams to ready up. On the other hand, I do have to wait for ops to ready up and actually hook into the game. So having restarted this thing so many times, it seems like we might have to wait a few more seconds. There we go, perfect. The highest of production qualities, nothing less. So, as you can hear, we're going to be starting here. And with the fact that this is a demo, not recorded by me, but by Killspree, if there still is a terrible cameraman, or if it actually is a good one for once, it is all Killspree's fault. So we're going to have here Nordic in the blue and also Canada in the red, pushing in onto the courtyard and getting several players here off Nordic down. But still, no, we have Nordic also trying to regain a little bit of control here this first round of the cathedral, though Blaze Fantasy being caught just when he wants to heal his teammate RKQ. Solitary takes both of them down and brings the first round here to Canada. But still also SOT here with an interesting use of the SR8. Somewhere is going to take Arts down. Considering the size here of Abbey, I would not have expected to see an SO8 on here. But I suppose you can find some longer angles where you can actually use it. Still though, too bad here is going to be in quite a pickle in a 2 versus 3, and it's going to fall to RKQ. So with that, Nordic brings this one back to a 1-1. And Canada this time spawning up at the upper spawn, I suppose you would call it, over at the blue side of Capture the Flag. I actually have no idea what that area is called, because that's pretty much just the blue spawn. Still though, one SO8 battle between Arts and also SOT, I suppose. Arts is going to take SOT down. A nice hit, just barely going around the statue. Still no, 1 versus 2, Blaze Fantasy and Yadad are quite far away from each other. So with that, Art is still able to bring this one to some consecutive 1 versus 1s. Yadad here, still 49 HP for Arts and still 100 here for Yadad. Is going to go around the side. Arts looks the wrong way and is going to be killed. And with that, we have a 2-1. Nordic still stays in the game. It's actually quite refreshing to just see Abbey played on Capture the Flag. I mean, I had never expected actually to see an SO8 on this thing. But both teams are doing it, and Arts is doing really well with it too, also here getting Sweden. And also Blaze Fantasy have fallen, only for Solitary to do the same. SOT also, RKQ and everyone else also falls. That's pretty much none of Canada does. And Kai was here just getting ready for pushing in onto the central room. He's just going to be very cautious here. There's still one of the Nordic players in there. Nevertheless, though, with 4 against 3, I would expect... Oh, 3 versus 3, so it's good that Canada actually were that cautious, since they probably could have lost a few more players had they just gone straight in, guns blazing. RKQ now also finding cowards here. Too bad, also trying to see if he can get a pick off. Is going to find Blaze Fantasy. And also trying to get around the side to also get a flank in on the other. Then with the grenade out is going to be more showing his position than anything else. But a nice grenade is going to get in. He also keep the dart on one side. The grenade is not going to do much, but still finding one after the other. So too bad, finding 2 kills and also finding RKQ. And with that brings the 3rd round here. And Canada again in the lead. Several players here of Nordic already fallen here. It's over at, I would think, over at the central room. Pretty much just actually anywhere, but RKQ here coming in with a nice flank. Up against several players though of Canada is not going to do much though. Still, Blaze Fantasy tries to follow it up, gets too bad down, but with that there's still way many more players of Canada to go. And Sweden here in a 1 versus 3 is going to fall, as he finds 2 players of Canada, which is already quite a difficult position to be in. And just as a test, we're also going to do this, having these V1s, I suppose you could call it, or these viewing of a demo to it done live. So yes, everyone, this is this is a game here from the 2nd round of the Swiss format, not the 3rd, the one we are at currently in chat, but still some regrets here from Sweden that we're going to be watching this game. Well, it's going to be fine. RKQ still holding strong, finds one, does the fall here to the Desert Eagle of Arts, but nevertheless still holding strong and doing a good job. And the demo or the VOD of Asia versus United Kingdom that was just streamed live about half an hour ago is also going to come up with this later this evening, I think. Pretty much this Sunday, yeah. This very day. They should be up already over at youtube.com/Ikslorin. So, yes. Let's get back to the game. As Canada are beginning to get a few more rounds in. And Nordic also still holding on to the eastern side of the map. Solitary here, walking the Negev, interestingly enough. Though, I mean, if you just have to hold down onto one area, just spraying and praying is probably actually a good strategy to use. RKQ though, also trying to hold on to an angle and making a crossfire, though with only 8 HP, and he cannot really just go straight out, or he will just die, even through the small few hits of a Negev. But still too bad here, the last one still standing here for Canada is going to take Blaze Fantasy too. So while we're getting several rounds in here for Canada, they haven't really been that one-sided. I mean, the score is more one-sided than the actual rounds have been. Most of these have always come down to like a 1 against 1 or 2. Blaze Fantasy though here going down to the AG grenade of Solitary. Tries to also go further in. Does here fall to RKQ. Sweeten also nicely holding onto an angle. Getting flash. Is going to be killed though here by Arts. Desert Eagle. Straight to the head. And RKQ does also fall here for the flank. Off to bad. And for whatever Biddle does say, I have the option on, I'm pretty certain, for such that you can actually press tab. But it keeps on just going back to the menu if I actually do. So I'm a little bit afraid of actually clicking that button. So they just have the names that they have chosen to just use to play under. But on the other hand, I think Too Bad is the only one who's actually playing under an alias. But on the other hand, I'm not really that strong on the Canadian players. So who am I to actually say anything? Kaiwa's here coming in. A good grenade in onto what is the usual position of RKQ is going to fall here to RKQ having actually gotten no hits at all. Arts also here fallen as Nordic takes several players here of Canada down. Though Canada is also pushing back, but not hard enough as SOT takes the last kill. Finally here brings the third round in. With the timer soon getting to the 10-minute mark, we are also with that getting halfway through the first map. As we are only playing just for 20 minutes and just then figure out exactly what the score is. As is the format here of Urban Tower in general. Pretty much only bomb mode is the usual. Nordic here coming in through the central room, and several others are going to be being greeted here by quite a heavy fire here from Canada. And also a little bit of healing, so all in all, 2 versus 2. Then the Negev of Solitary is going to be quite a bane, possibly. Though it is also being swapped out for an LR300. That's a nice decision, but still SOT here with the G36 is going to get a good long distance shots in. And also get Solitary, and with that, Sweeten is going to be able to pick up Too Bad. I'm really... All of the time there's always just a little bit of silence after I say Too Bad, because I'm always really tempted of just doing a really terrible pun. I think I'm going to cave in at some point, probably throughout the shoutcast. I'm just going to already say sorry beforehand. Still, my Nordic brethren are beginning to move over to the central room and pushing further in as Canada has lost too many players and are beginning to go back to what is called the cathedral side. Good to know. Let's try and remember that. So Artia getting a good kill in with the SO8 onto Sweden, though Flash also getting RKQ is going to be traded here by Blaze Fantasy, and Yadart takes the last. Yeah, Sweden, yeah, you took both of the kills. No problem. It was teamwork. Who cares who actually got the kill? It was teamwork. And SOT also helped you with the G36. Getting a lot of hits in there with the G36 on the arms or stomach are going to be certainly 50 or 60 HP. So I don't see. Yeah. It was teamwork. You did well. You did well. Yeah. Canada here starting over at the other side that I still don't really actually have a name for. The wet capture the flag spawn. Nordic beginning though to push further in. Though Sweden though also here fallen, so with that there's an opening here for Canada to push through the crossway. Though RKQ is still in their way for quite some time. Solitary takes him down, but still Yadan also taking Too Bad. And with that we are in a 1 versus 1. As Yadan goes up against Solitary here. Solitaire also still with the Negev here. Solitaire also just standing over here at David's courtyard, even though your dad is also going to get at least the information, it seems. But pretty much Solitaire is just playing on time, or maybe not on purpose, but always just running away here from your dad just all the time. Though now we have Nordic here choosing to go the other direction, so possibly we're going to see them here meet over at the Maple Courtyard, or Marble. And Solitaire also still here at the Cathedral. No, still just hiding. But all in all, we still have like 2 minutes, but still, your dad probably comes in here. But he has his back to possibly to Solitaire, except that he actually heard him. So with that, he doesn't know that he's in Maple Courtyard. Does find him from the side and also gets the kill. And gets finally another round, brings this one down to 4 rounds of a difference. And I am almost running out of hot chocolate. Well, hopefully the hot coffee is going to still keep my growing cold here away for the rest of the shoutcast. SOT here beginning to push into the crossway is going to fall. The same does Sweets, and sadly too. And IKQ, the last one, still to stand, bleeding, but still getting the Desert Eagle kill. And bringing another round. Nordic beginning to get back onto this one. Still 6 minutes left. And only 3 rounds more to go for Nordic to bring this map into overtime, if nothing more. Also nice position here by RKQ. Very defensive, but still holding onto the central room. And with that, having quite a lot of map control, going in, trying to see if he can get the trade. Gets a lot of hits in, but does not really get the kill. Solitaire coming from behind, does get also him. Plays Fantasy, and your dad also over at the David's Courtyard is going to get quite a lot of people, but still Arts that in the end brings this one to a 1 versus 1. As we have Arts here with the LR300, is going to find your dad not looking the right way. And getting way too many hits in before he was even able to respond. But finally, also for Canada, we have another round. They have had no rounds for quite a lot of time. So, also here, Arts being denied the SO8 kill. But still Solitaire here getting an impressive amount of kills here with the Negev, to be honest. I mean, it has a high fire rate. It does also have, if I remember correctly, quite good bleed. But the damage is certainly not something that is impressive. It's probably what you could call a good supporting weapon. A very slow and supporting weapon, but still only not really the one you would use to offensively. That would be like the AK or the M4 or the L3 or LR300. Arts with the SO8 is not going to find anyone over at the fountain. Or, well, I don't know. What is it? Is that it? I don't know. Arts almost though clipping here. The player of Nordic is not going to get the hit, but still Solitaire with a grenade, and the Negev still gets some kills. Is going to be traded here by SOT, though still Sweets and also here fallen from Kairos from the side. Is going to also be traded. SOT also taking almost another, but still RKQ has to pick up the last few pieces. Nice flank onto a player of Canada, is getting 3 hits in, but does not get much further through the window than just seeing Flash. This time we have Arts over at the statue courtyard, just beginning to push back. but still interesting to just go for a very aggressive peek here at first, just to see if you can actually find something, and then just go for the more defensive play afterwards. And SOT though does fall as Nordic begins to push in onto the statue courtyard. Damn, that's actually quite difficult to say, at least in that sentence. Nevertheless though, all in all, we have Nordic here, 3 versus 2. All of the players of Canada beginning to group up over at the marble courtyard, over at what is usually where the blue flag is. Sweden begins to go in, goes up against the, well, up against the Negev here of Solitary. Still doing impressive work with that. Does fall and plays Fantasy. Also, the last one still to stand here of Nordic does also take Flash. Keeps this one at a 13-8. Still 2.5 minutes left for this map to finish before we go on to the second, being Orbital on Team Survivor. Also here to back, beginning to push out from the central room, already finding Blaze Fantasy. Several other players of Nordic also fallen, though mostly just traded. So Nordic only really needs to get 1 kill, as they just got on 2 bad. And with that brings this one to a 2 versus 2. This evens up the odds, and hopefully, at least if they can find the Canadians in time, they could still make something happen here. Though they have to be staying aggressive for the rest of the time if they want to actually get anything to happen, as they only have 1.5 minutes still left for what would be 5 rounds. I mean, they would have to do 20 seconds a round, and this is not time that they can afford this sneaking of Sweden, though they might just, instead of trying to win the map here of Canada, go instead over to the map of their own. And Flash in a nice hiding spot is going to take Sweden though. And I have officially run out of hot chocolate. That's sad. Oh well, we got another cup, and that liquid is also very warm. And no, I'm not talking about my blood. Oh, that's actually not warm, that's like iced coffee almost. Ugh, that's awful.
Red team wins.
So 30 seconds left, and this might very possibly be the last round if the last round is any indication. Though RKQ is the last one still to stand here of Nordic, so if he does fall within the next 15 seconds, which very much does happen here to Arts, we might actually just get one more. So, all in all, this is going to end in a 17. Oh, at least if Blaze Fantasy does not have any other issues with that. It's going to end in a 17-8 before we go on to the second map in the series. Let me just start that immediately, because there's no reason for us to wait if we can't. Just immediately see the next action. It's going to be Orbital, and the colors are not changed. So, with that, I don't have to do any updating. Oh, yeah, I have to do one updating of the UI. And there we go. Everything is awesome, and the game just resumed. And let's get back with some more audio. So, Nordic still playing here in the blue trunks, coming in from main. RKQ brings already a good opening for this first round here, with a good grenade in on Arts, one of the key players here on the last map, before Nordic begins to push further out. He does also find Cowards, though was keeping that over to SOT to keep us back, while he was also taking the one over at the Cantina. But all in all, Blaze Fantasy here only falling for Kairos and Arts. Good, very good trades here for Nordic. RKQ also beginning to move out for the Cantina. Does also get here the hits for on Solitary. Just staying out to the side and let the rest of the team do the work. So with that, Nordic gets a good and very convincing first round in here. As an RKQ again begins to hold, or attempt to hold the middle here. Also gets the intel of at least one player coming in from in the L-shaped. Finds also a second. Can he also get the kill on that? No, too bad. Does get him down. That is too bad. I said I was probably going to do it at some time. But still, RKQ was the only one here to fall in the middle. While Nordic took another round. And still, though, with here Nordic spawning over at the spaceship dock, they're not going to be putting aggressively players onto the globe, but just letting Canada possibly, if they want to wash straight onto there, not going to lose any players, but still. Solitary here getting SOT down as he just try to peek in onto main. Also RKQ though does get Flash and Kairos. So all in all, now also Solitary falling to Sweden and Yadad also taking Arts. 3-0. A good opening here for Nordic for the first 2 minutes. Also an interesting and cool opening here by RKQ with a nicely timed grenade. Possibly onto the Cantina. Also dodging nicely the other one. Here coming in from Canada. But all in all, Nordic seems to have control here of the middle. Though here Arts taking SOT down. With that, Canada begins to push out onto the crossing. And in a nice crossfire, they're also going to take several players here of Canada down. Pushing further onto the players here of the north. And Blaze Fantasy falls as the last one. Good grenade, just jumping in straight at the feet of Sweden, not being able to really get away. As he was healing and just caught in the corner, sadly, but still RKQ staying alive. Only has to deal with 2 Canadians and 50 HP.
Red team wins.
But, well, he didn't last that long, over to Solitary. And with that, Canada have gotten just 2 rounds here in a row, almost bringing this one back to a tie. Canada beginning here to push onto Globe, simultaneously still only having one player very defensively over at the service. And also having at least the Infirmary. Though even trades over at the push into Globe. Not just even trades, completely in favor here of Nordic. And finally Flash goes in. Does though go in straight into a crossfire, so he's just falls flat on his face. And Nordic beginning to push in onto the main. Seems to be 1 or 3 kills for one only of Canada. Not really worth it. As SOT and RKQ has to try and pick off the pieces here. Or, well, only RKQ. Or not. Canada here starting over at main. We have Solitary beginning to push over to the Cantina. Coming in just at the same time as his opponent is going to fall though to SOT. In this engagement. Sweden though also does the same. But more players here of Canada have fallen than the players here of Nordic. Now also Arts and Flash. as RKQ and Yadad does quite a lot of work. So with that, Kairos here over at the Coda is going to be the last one still to try and get something going. For Canada is also going to fall here to Yadad. And Blaze Fantasy coming in with a nice grenade. Trying to see if he can bounce it off the wall. Not really going to find any one of the Canadians. And Arts though does find Sweden. Solitary also SOT. So Nordic being down quite a lot of players. Have to try and group up. And they do exactly that over at the Cantina. Now they try to come in from a very weird angle. And they are pretty much just put into a big choke point. We have RKQ just trying to get away, limping away, and also being helped by his wonderful teammate. Is sadly just going to be the death of them both. But, well, I mean, they couldn't really have done it much better than that. Killspree probably has to... Oh, interesting.
Red team wins.
Is this actually a GTV thing? Interesting, I didn't know that. Oh well. Nevertheless, though, in this really quick round, we have Canada actually just getting all the kills here, and with that bringing this one to a 5-5. As they just go straight into Biosphere and get all of the players in there, and again doing somewhat the same. Arts getting several players down, but Nordic this time also putting up a little bit of a fight, bringing this to a 2 vs 2. Kairos though picks up Flash, and a little bit of a miss there by Blaze, sadly.
Red team wins.
And all in all, Canada does take the round, but that was still quite hard fought. And this time around, Canada here just putting only the players really on the Biosphere, a little bit on main and Infirmary, and just leaving the rest of the map open. So with that, Nordic could probably or possibly push over to at least the servers, if not more. Yadan also taking one player in at the Infirmary. Flash trying to keep control of just that. He's going to be able to get the kill. Also just to go and pop in onto the kill there on SOT, I think. But still, Solitary there with a nice Desert Eagle shot is going to take Blaze Fantasy. And bringing this to a 1 vs 1, 20 HP against the 70 of Sweden. So, opening the door, and Solitary at 3 HP. And Sweden just barely didn't get enough hits in. I mean, nicely played here by Solitary, expecting the push, but still also Sweden doing some nice work. And also choosing to go for a timing that makes some sense. I mean, it wasn't just going straight in immediately, it was actually going to be waiting for a little bit of time. With that, Sweden hopefully was able to get the drop on Solitary. Sadly, he didn't. As Solitary's game sense was just a little bit too good there. SOT though, 1 vs 3. Finds one coming in from the flank. Gets the kill on Too Bad, and also tries to see if he can get into another position. Get away from where he is already known to be. Gets over to the blue box. And stays in a very cool position, especially very good position, especially here for the G36, and also spotting the few red players here through the all of the grass. Here is going to be killed though by Arts anyway with the SO8. Well, I mean that's just the bane of playing against someone with an SO8. Either you get them to be unscoped and they are pretty much just a sitting duck. Oh well, I mean they get one hit in and you're killed. But that's also the beauty of the weapon in and of itself. And SOT also here getting a good grenade in onto the globe, I suppose. With West of Nordic beginning to push in and taking all of Canada down and bringing this one to an 8-6. We are halfway through, ladies and gentlemen. The first map, or the first half of this map, being the second one in this whole series. And yeah, well, Sweden is also in chat and sounds almost like she's getting like flashbacks back to some like post-traumatic flashbacks. Solitary though, without any ammo, is going to peek in and just go for a little bit of, well, just showing his face and get a little bit of hit rather than actually hitting anyone. So, on the follow-up here by Nordic, while still one player got killed, it was still traded. And with that, Nordic brings this one to a 1-round difference. One more to go, and Nordic has this one tied back up. As Canada begins to regain all control here of the globe, and Blaze Fantasy in a 1 vs 4 is going to go through the infirmary, and just at that time also be killed from a flank. A good early pick here by Nordic, but still also simultaneously Sweden also fallen. Though Solitary also going down now here, so still the man advantage is going here in favor of Nordic. Though Kairos going in, finds one, RKQ and SOT also here falling to Flash. Yeah, that does get him, but still it's a 1 vs 2 and Arts is on the hunt. So that finds Kairos and also just flicks around. Waiting for Arts to come in. Does not get the hits as Arts possibly goes around for a flank. Question is if you can actually hear where Arts is going. So Yadad beginning to move over to the door, over to infirmary. But Arts just staying in the cantina. That did probably hear the door opening and could probably hear where Yadad was going. So that might have prompted Arts to move, but still. Yes, Arts did do exactly that, going over to the corridor, bringing out the SO8. Yadad though goes around the side without any way letting Arts know and just gets him killed for free and brings this one to a 9-8. 7.5 minutes still left. Arch gets a good grenade in here on SOT. Also gets a good grenade in on Sweden. And a Desert Eagle shot on Yadad. And also RKQ with an SO8. Only Flash takes the last one. So this denies the ace there, but still. Arch just walking this round, taking everyone down here from Nordic. In what was probably have been quite an impressive play. Which should probably be marked down possibly here by Rocket for his top 5 place for this very round, which should be up tomorrow or the day after. And Arts just being ridiculous in his last few bleeding HP. He's going to take an SO8 shot on Yadad. And also gets quite a lot of Desert Eagle shots in. Nordic again beginning to push onto the globe. But Canada holding strong. A good grenade here by Too Bad is going to take both Sweden and Yadad. Is also going to take SOT and Flash taking RKQ. All in all, that push here by Nordic did not pay off in any way whatsoever. And possibly we have another crazy grenade here coming in. There did Sweden fall. Solitary also taking several others, though all in all, simultaneously also players of Canada have fallen. So Blaze Fantasy still does find himself in a 1 versus 2, so it is not impossible of a position for him to be in. Nice flick shots for the possible positions here in the cantina. Sadly, no one was there, but still shows amazing skill and game sense. Blaze Fantasy beginning to go over to the globe. There is also going to be picking up several weapons along the way. Good grenade there for a possible flank.
Red team wins.
Though, peeking straight into the line of sight of Arts SO8. Well, that is not going to bolt that very well, and Canada takes another round. Bringing this one to a 13-8. 5 rounds the difference with 5 minutes. That is pretty much, yeah, that's exactly 1 minute per round. Nordic has to begin getting another win streak in here. They have done it before. They have even done it on Abbey. So, in this 2 versus 2. Too bad on Arts, though holding on to the cantina. I'm not really going to be too aggressive, as they also want to waste a little bit of time. Make sure that each and every round takes longer than the 1 minute that Nordic can afford. While Nordic begins to just move around, pre-shoot the common positions. Finally find them in the cantina. Yadar does here fall to the LR300 off to bat from the side. And Arts Desert Eagle was also doing a lot of the work. Reason going in is going to be killed here by Tubat from behind, sadly, as he was trying to get Arts down. So with that, we have still Canada here at the main, beginning to push with several players onto the globe, possibly. They're still also committing quite a lot of players onto the infirmary, and with that, keeping control of the middle. I also really like just going around the side for having the crossfire. Again, bringing here RKQ down. What Canada is really doing when spawning over at the main, it's a nice setup. I really like it. Probably is the standard setup to do on that side, but I really like it. Makes a lot of sense. It seems to be very strong, while it might lack a little bit of strength over at the servers and the corridor. It certainly is strong exactly at the areas where you actually have people committed. The same also goes for not putting players straight onto the globe, as you pretty much arrive there at the same time as your opponent rushing straight in. So if you actually want to have players on the globe, you would want there are a lot of players on the globe, and also some grenades to shut down any pushes. And just when I say that, Nordic begins to push out of the cantina, and also fall here to several Desert Eagles. This coffee is really terrible cold. It's like ridiculous how bad it is. Still though, Nordic opening strongly this round as they take several players of Canada down, but just when I say that, Blaze and also Yadar falls. Also, several players here of Canada getting a drop on once, and SOT, the last one, still to stand. Is pretty much pinched into the blue box, begins to push out through the biosphere. Is going to take to bat, and Flash is also going to retreat back into the infirmary. Get onto better turf. Still falling back. And getting over to the servers. And SOT now also falls. And with that we have a 17-8. Several funny comments actually done in chat. I like that. Still though, this is pretty much sealing the deal for a few rounds ago. So this map is also going to end here in favor of Canada's. So it is going to end in a 2-0. As Canada takes this map pretty much an 18 or, well, 17-9, probably 18-9, 17-10. All in all though, this was very, very close for a lot of the map. Also Abbey for that map was very close for big parts of the map too. And this one was pretty much just one round difference for, I think, 12 or 13 minutes. So the fact that Sweden said that this was just, well, a rape, I don't really agree with that. Yes, Canada got the advantage here in the end, but still, Nordic doing really, really well and getting some good stuff happening here. And showing them also from a good side. Ouch. That was probably not as planned. As Sweden by accident gets an SOH shot in on Blaze Fantasy, going for the knife kill. Well, nevertheless though, this was also what has led to Nordic with this ending up in a 2-0, oh, 0-2, sorry, in the win to loss ratio, meaning that they are this very round, the third round, in the group of the teams that possibly are going to be knocked out for the rest of the whole Nations Cup tournament. As in the Swiss format, if you accumulate 3 losses, you will just be out of the tournament. On the other hand, if you accumulate 3 wins, you get qualified for the playoffs. So, all in all, as Sweden goes down here up against Flash in this 1 versus 1, and Flash possibly takes it, as he's all out of ammo. Sweden though does not push him. Sweden finally gets the kill, and with that gets the last round. But all in all, we have Canada taking the second map too, brings this one to 2-0, and Nordic with that goes down to into the 0-2 group, and must now face, if I remember correctly, let me just double check. Yeah, must face Spain tomorrow, Sunday, the 12th of February, to figure out exactly if Nordic can stay in the tournament or if they have to concede to Spain trying to get the grounds. So, all in all, we have, yes, all in all, this still makes me very excited to watch the game tomorrow. I mean, if it's going to be anything as close as the match today between United Kingdom versus Asia, which should be at the time here of streaming up in a few hours or something, I'll be getting these things up and cooking immediately when we go off air, both this one and the last Shoutcast. Well, if it's anything as close as that, which was pretty much coming down to the last few minutes, well, Nordic versus Spain is going to be one hell of a good game to watch. Okay, fair enough. Sweden explains himself for a little bit, so he was more just a little bit irritated about his own performance this game. Well, everyone has a few off days, and sadly, well, Sweden had one in-game. Well, still, had some good rounds here and there, and hopefully, Sweden, I do certainly hope, I wish you the best for tomorrow. As said, we're going to have streamed over at twitch.tv/Ikslorin at 22 p.m. Oh, well, I mean, that's 10 p.m. at 22:00, whatever you want to call it, at some time of day in the evening. We will have Nordic versus Spain. Before that, we will though have Netherlands going up against USA at 21. So, thank you all for watching, both live or on YouTube. So, yeah. Thank you. See ya. Good evening, morning, whatever, wherever, whenever you're watching.